literature, and rock and roll is my life.
It's strange though how those kind of early obsessions tend to become the thing you end up doing later.
Literally, yeah.
I was speaking to my mom. Well, it was like just a general conversation, and she mentioned how when I was like in second grade, I said, when I want to grow up, I want to be an artist.
Just an artist in general.
Look at me now. Artist.
I quite like that. Anyway, I don't like the way the word artist has been like...
adapted, I guess? Or what do you think?
It's been... You're not allowed to call yourself an artist anymore because it's pretentious to say that now.
Yeah?
Like, you're not allowed to say, I'm an artist.
Well,
because...
You know, for a long time, I actually didn't feel comfortable calling myself an artist. Because I didn't kind of reconcile that idea of, like... It's like, independent thinker, maker, creator. I didn't see myself as that, like, original type.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So, was it kind of a... Like, the word was too important to use to describe yourself?
It's not that it was important, I just didn't, like, have that same kind of response to this idea of being an artist. Like, let's say if you say artist, annoyingly, the first thing that pops into my head is, like, Andy Warhol, and something like a name, right?
Okay, yeah.
He annoys me so much. He did some cool things, but whatever.
So, I would have been a factory girl in the 60s. I totally would have.
But, like, I mean, that idea of, like, the artist, the, like...
okay. So the kind of, like, aspirational image of artist.
Yeah, like, I didn't associate myself with that.
Okay.
I thought of myself as, like, more as a maker, like...
Okay,
really good at doing this kind of thing, or doing that, but kind of, like, as time progresses, you find your own way of, I guess, titling yourself. I mean, photographer is kind of obvious.
Yeah. It's quite kind of like mechanical. I am a photographer, I take photographs. So,
yes. So, but now I'm like artist photographer because I do many things.
I just find the word interesting because like words are like the currency of everything.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, especially for you since like you write.
Yeah. Because writing is literally what I do for a living. But I mean, it's just like it's so interesting because Ginsberg has this really great quote. Well, it isn't actually him quote, he just popularized it because it's like a quote from like Zen Buddhism, which I was into for a while. Still actually have my thing on all the time.
Show me.
I wear my little engraved rice grain still. It says life in approach of Zen, but it's come off. It used to say life in approach of Zen, now it says I'm a rice grain.
Yeah, it's gotten a little moist.
Yeah. It used to be preserved in like acrylic, like nail varnish.
Okay.
And I don't know where the acrylic nail varnish went, but it escaped its vacuum. Like it transmuted to another territory completely. But Ginsberg has this quote that he popularized, which is things are symbols of themselves, and he uses it to describe words all the time.
Things are symbols of themselves.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And it's so like it has so many different meanings that apply to all of his work, but like that's what I find with words, because everyone has different definitions for the same word.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, before any debate, like, I feel like people should clarify the definition of what they mean by
the context word. In which they're using the word.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, you could have the most futile debate because someone means something else when they say blue than when you say blue. So, like, yeah.
It's cool, though. I think that's what's nice about words, is that kind of duality.
Yeah.
Like, despite the fact that the same word have fucking hell. The same word has so many different meanings inherently.
Yeah.
Like, kind of documented meaning.
Okay.
But depending on different people's understanding of those meanings
and
how they interpret it and how they use it, it kind of just...
It's just so much more.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting.
I never thought I'd be geeking out on words.
Oh, hello. That happened.
You'll get used to it. I'm taking this lens though. Usually, like, I'll start with a wide-angle lens.
Yeah.
Like, I start looking like more at the space, and then you in the space, and then as I kind of progress, I start looking at like more close-up type portraits and stuff.
Okay.
But I'm really digging this lens right now.
I just love the fucking like actuality of the camera. Like, it's demanding to be seen in the space. It's like,
It is.
I am here and photographing you.
Well, it's big and it's big and black, and you can't really miss it, right? It's kind of in your face.
Yeah, that should be my porno bio.
Yeah, but like I've found just working with this guy quite a lot and working with people, like despite the fact that it's so kind of prominent and it has this presence,
Yeah.
it eventually, well, just like the way that I've experienced it, eventually just kind of sneaks in and kind of goes unnoticed after a while.
Get hides.
I know it seems unlikely, but it does happen.
No, it's cool. Like, once you accept anything as part of the space you're in,
Yeah.
it becomes.
Just
part of the space.
watch out for these things because they're fragile. So hold it like on the
Yeah.
bottom, just so you can like see.
Oh, Jesus.
So look, so point it at me.
Yeah. And look at the
Hold
top.
it lower and look through the top, so then you can like find me.
Oh my god,
How
hey!
cool is that?
That is fucking cool. That would actually be a really great photo. Because your head's aligned between my two acts. That is so cool. Oh, that is so fucking cool.
That's partly the reason why I work with this camera. It's just such a beautiful like thing. And
Like-
also looking at life through it, it's like this little movie that's happening right in there, and it's only for me to see.
Oh my god.
What?
That is like, I don't know, it's slightly megalomaniacal, it's adorable. What are you on? It's so insane, like how we just like what the pages up behind you are like. That's the beginnings of my process when I'm writing a monologue specifically.
Yeah.
So like I'll write like all these lines down or like these trains of thought that I know will fit into the train of thought that is the monologue.
Okay.
And the monologue I'm writing right now is about your comment earlier, like the things you love in childhood becoming what you end up doing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's exactly about that.
That's cool. Like which one? These two.
Oh well, that is part of it, yeah. But
Okay.
the sticker that refers to it is the one that says Bowie in the first act.
Nice.
First column, yeah.
I'm just like looking around. First act, where's Bowie? There.
There, yeah. But it's coming along. Really sorry for the show.
So this is a theatre.
Yeah, it's like a straight play. Like it's a 2 act. Like a play. Just like straight play, not musical or
Yeah.
review or, yeah. But it's a 2 act situation about punk rockers. Well, not really punk rockers. Only one of them could like claim to be a punk rocker. The other two are like the vestiges of the adolescent serendipitous nature of the punk rock ideal. But Jesus, that's a fucking
Nice sentence.
Such a heavy
The
sentence.
vestiges of the. Wait, say it again.
I fucking can't remember. That was the most pretentious thing I've said all day. But
Sometimes you just have these moments of pure genius, but pure arrogance.
I know, fuck. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, Jesus Christ. So like I read stuff that I wrote like 2 years ago. Where I'm like, I
Ooh,
was
that
fucking
is-
19. How
that
the
is
fuck do I
just-
think I had a handle on this?
That is ultimate cringe. Like ultimate cringe. Like
Dude.
I've found some things that I've either made or because I don't write a lot. A lot of my thinking kind of stays internal, and if I do write, it'll be like obscure notes that only I can decipher or understand or make sense
Okay.
of, and then usually, mostly my thought process is kind of exemplified through visual,
Through
like
visual.
the idea of visuality or whatever. So, but then looking at these things and then like remembering exactly what I was thinking when I made them and just being like, oh, what you just
I-
grow up a little, like.
Literally, that's all I feel. I'm like, God, Arlin, no. You're 19.
But it's all part of the process, like of becoming authentic. I'm not gonna say authentic. Just becoming comfortable with who you are. Like I think everyone is kind of aware of the person they like inherently are. Is that the right word?
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're inherently, but
People know what they're about.
a lot of people are they're like afraid to kind of commit to it and just be like, you know what?
Oh, that's true.
Fuck it. I'm just gonna be like a stereotypical gay dude that does drag, right? Or to use an example, and then you find yourself a couple of years later running down the street in a pair of high heels with a ridiculous amount of makeup on your face. So,
rock it. I just feel
just
like
gotta own it early on.
exactly.
How amazing would your life be?
It's literally the Sesame Street knowledge. Like, Sesame Street is so important. Like, everything they try to teach us as 6-year-olds is, like, literally the most valid shit.
Love yourself.
Literally, just, like, be yourself and you'll be chill.
Yeah.
Like, there's always gonna be cool... I have this theory about people. I'm just like, there are always cool people, like, wherever you are. Because, like, I was dreading coming to Stellenbosch, and I grew up here. This is really mean.
No, that's...
But, like, I was dreading coming here because, like, the eclecticism in the city and just, like, the idea that, like, I'd been growing up there and I was still meeting new people, like, every fucking weekend,
Yeah.
or, like, wherever I was.
So are you afraid of not meeting new people coming here, or afraid of meeting the people that will be here?
I was afraid of coming here and meeting, like, 5 different people and having them all be versions of one another.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah, there's a lot of that here. It's... So a lot of what people kind of criticize Stellenbosch for is very much true.
Well, no, it is true.
But, I mean,
Some
I've
of
been
it-
here so long
Some
that it's like... I kind of only see the little bits of good that's there, the reason why I like it here. So.
I mean, I haven't had a shit time here. I almost deregistered at the beginning of my second year. But that was just, I was very close. Like, I was at the computer, like, with my best friend, and she talked me out of it. My mom would have fucking murdered me. But, I don't know, but that was just, like, crisis mode for days as well. I, like, get very melodramatic. I used to get very melodramatic. I like to think of myself as very Zen dark now, and that's a combination of weed, Zen Buddhism, and Ginsberg. But like,
Ginsberg, I want to get back on Ginsberg. So
I could talk about him for fucking years.
So I wish I knew a lot more about Ginsberg, right? But so my first experience of Allen Ginsberg, the name, was the really terrible movie that Daniel Radcliffe
Kill Your Darlings!
Killing Your Darlings.
It was not that bad.
So the first time you watch it, it's like, oh wow.
It's
and then I
great.
watched it the second time, and then I just...
And the opening is a bit tacky.
Never mind the opening. So, wait, Daniel Radcliffe, he plays Allen Ginsberg, right? So the boy that is in love with, the blonde one.
Lucian Carr, Dane DeHaan. What about...
Like, just that...
Bad acting vibes. Is that what we're on? Because that's what I want.
So that's the thing, so... Initially I liked the movie because I kind of had a crush on that guy. I mean, he's pretty.
Okay,
he's so cute. But then it's just this, like... It's just this, like, perpetual creative constipation. And it's just... Oh, it made me so angry. And it's like, I love you, but I don't. But I like guys, but I don't. I'm gonna go murder someone.
I find people like Lucian Carr, like the guy he played...
Oh, fuck, I didn't finish that sentence. I'm gonna go murder someone to deal with my homosexuality.
Oh. True. That's exactly what went down. Actually, yeah, I find him so interesting, but like, I totally understand how that movie could be annoying a second time around, for sure. Because Lucian Carr is one of the most fucking hateable people in the history of the fucking world.
But still, it's kind of like that guilty pleasure, because his face, there's something about his face, I'm just like, I want to lick you, and I know it sounds weird. It's like, I always use the word, like, analogy of, like, licking something. Like, when you want to lick something and you see something that's, like, really delicious. Right?
I guess I love that. I completely love the kind of Western obsession with the twink, because it's never been what I've been into. Like, I'm into, like, rocker boys, just, like, dirty fucking rocker boys with long hair, who may or may not have showered in the last 2 days and smell like smoke.
Oh my goodness.
That's literally what I'm into.
It's like filthy.
Literally just, like, so, like, fucking 70s rocker. Might have that 70s rocker stash going on.
So, I had that same kind of, what do you call it? I was into the same kind of thing, kind of growing up, right? Because I love music, and I started out playing piano, and then I switched to playing guitar, and I played guitar for a long time. I can still play, just haven't played in, like, more than a year.
That's kind of cool, actually.
And for a while, I was actually thinking, like, I'm gonna be a band, I'm gonna be, like, the lead singer, guitarist, everything, it's gonna be so cool, and then, obviously, that never happened.
God, I had no idea you had a musical side. This makes me so happy.
And, like, I also had like really long hair, so that's the first thing I did when I got out of school.
I'm gonna face
as I grew my hair.
I'm gonna like go stalk you so
Show you a
hard.
picture.
Please do.
Actually, can't. I'll show you a picture afterwards. Okay, my phone is not being
I completely forgot we were being recorded.
Sorry.
It's so chill.
I've like initially I'll be like, is it okay if I start recording now?
Oh my god, that's so pedantic.
just to like kind of reassure myself that it's okay to like recording the conversation or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I found that a lot of the times people are too aware initially that they're being recorded, so they kind of not censor but kind of police the way they speak or what they speak about.
Okay, well
It's
that's
not,
true.
but after a while, it just kind of like relaxes. So I found that. Yeah, just never mind. Let's not talk about that.
The West is so interesting to me. Like just the Western culture, specifically like American derivative culture, is so
Well, I mean, we're
interesting.
all part of the West.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I mean,
I'm Africa, but it's the West.
total product of the West, like completely.
Right.
I would never fucking fit in an Eastern culture. I couldn't police myself like that.
I'm staring myself now.
But
I should have started with a wide angle. I know there's a reason why I do it. It is just so amazing.
cool.
No, seeing you, like, you're kind of...
And
You're
I
kind-
nestled between my arms.
You're nestled in your, like, space, but then also you're kind of nestled in the light. So,
Okay.
like, you're lit, and then the area... You're lit.
Thank you.
I hate that that's a word. I cannot stand lit, fam, what else is there?
Work is new.
Work.
Woke.
Oh.
Like W-O-K.
Okay, yes, so work I have another issue with. But that's something else.
Okay.
But like,
I see this
lit,
entire unexplored tangent, like on that side of the room now. I really want to get into that.
it's just like...
It's literally filling the space. It looks like strangely political, and I want to like jump into it and like have a seat and have you talk.
No, but lit. Oh my goodness. How is it a word?
I have like I'm very I guess for a writer it's either excessively predictable or completely unpredictable. But like I have this like I'm just so chilled with any neologism.
Yeah.
So, like-
usually me too, but.
I call everyone
Okay,
they.
so like yes or queen or work or whatever, right?
Mhm.
That I can relate to because of
'Cause
like
fag.
Paris is burning and drag and whatever. So I associate with that and love using it and I love because it's annoying. So initially I kind of used yas ironically,
Okay.
but then it's so much fun to say and it just kind of becomes part of your like everyday language, I guess.
That is true. I can relate to that. That happened to me with the word with bae.
They
Yeah, I used to use bae completely ironically because I was like, oh my god, you're bae, let's go out there. And nowadays I'm just like, yeah bae, I'll be there in like 3 minutes, thanks. Because apparently it's completely fucking normal now.
they.
Yeah. But I just find language is so interesting. Fuck. I'm really dorky. Like, I could fucking talk about like what I do all day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. That's cool. I appreciate that in people.
Coffee and photography.
Coffee and photography.
Yeah.
Again, quite lyrical.
No, it was at least like those are the two things that I'm really interested in. So
Ooh.
photography used to be a hobby and it's kind of developed into a way of working for me.
Okay.
Even though I don't get paid for my photography. I wish I can't wait for that to happen someday
I
somewhere.
fucking know
I'd be
it.
so great.
Literally, like, I have my first paid writing gig coming up, and I'm just like, thank God. Fuck.
Actually no, I've been paid for photography
Need
before, I'm
money.
lying. But I want like proper payment.
Well, like, I've gotten paid for shit writing, kind of like non-artistic writing, where it's like, this is what I'm doing consciously
Okay,
for
yeah,
money.
same. So I've
Yeah.
been paid for like non-artistic,
Like wedding
non-creative
photography, that kind
like,
of like, okay.
yeah. So
Like,
I've done
here,
that.
please get this, like, moment of my life captured.
Capture it, yeah.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's terrible.
I just want someone to, like, pay me to, like, do
But
stuff
money.
I put ages into. But money is fun.
Money is fun.
Again, money is so interesting. The concept of money and people's relationships to money. Oh, God. I find everything excessively interesting, and I don't know what that is. Like, am I just easily impressed, or am I, like, overly conscious?
Maybe. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. I've been thinking about this shot too long now. I shouldn't be
Not so
thinking.
chilled.
No.
I'm trying to figure out what I wrote in that sentence right there, and I'm struggling. I keep like splitting my attention into, because I'm looking at it right. I have this thing where like if I have an idea running, it never stops running until it's done.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't.
Same, and it always like pops up at the most random moment. You're like, ah!
Literally fucking randomly.
But the thing is, I never write it down.
Oh no, you totally should.
I've been trying.
Okay.
I've been really trying.
Is your diary still surviving your intake scheduling?
It is.
I'm still impressed by that.
Did I pin you in? I can't remember if I pinned you in or not. I think I did.
I hope you did pin me in.
I'm pretty sure I pinned you in.
I'm
We
with
can
you.
confirm later.
No, I fucking appreciate anyone with organizational skills. Like, this is the busiest I've ever fucking been in my life.
Yeah.
And it's forced me to like plan, but still, it's not. None of it's written down. It's just like, okay, I have to be in Cape Town at like 2 p.m. today. Just don't forget that.
Done.
Yeah, I know. But like, I was off all week, which is amazing.
So that's how I used to work. Like,
Oh,
all my appointments I kind of kept in my head, and I just like remembered it every day, but always kind of forgetting. And then I remember at the last bit, I'm like, oh, I gotta run, shit. Okay, and then you make it. Fine, cool.
No, God. But sometimes I do forget. Like, there was this one day where I was just like Dierigak completely. And I missed 3 meetings. I'd somehow convinced myself I had the afternoon free. Did not. Had like 3 important meetings. It was kind of a fuck up. But it's chilled. My monster finished. I've been meaning to Google what Tori needs for a very long time, because I'm guessing something to do with like bovine situations, because fall. But I hope it's
Isn't it some kind of like exotic Amazonian berry?
I doubt, because like taurine, that gives me bull, you know, like that TAUR, like.
That gives me bull. I feel like it should be an expression, not an actual expression.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, that gives me bull, so I won't be going to that.
I only got it now.
Exactly, I totally want to fucking like use that. This is really cool. Like, you look really cool. Like, with all the color behind you. I'm gonna photograph.
I like that you want to take pictures of me.
Is this a
You're
thing
the
that
first
doesn't
person that's
happen?
been like, oh, I need to take pictures of you. That's cool.
I used to like say that I wasn't a very visual person.
Yeah.
But then I realized that all my spaces, like even if
You're so visual. Like, look at all the shit.
I know. I used to think that this didn't count.
It counts. It's a very specific kind of aesthetic, I would say.
Thank you.
And it goes with how you think, and I think the things that you're into. So
Yeah. It is very like
But one more thing, it also kind of looks like it's super spontaneous. Like you were chilling in your bed,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was like midnight, and you couldn't sleep. And you're
It was
probably
all done,
watching.
like, 4
you were
a.m.
probably watching either porn or series.
probably both in different tabs.
Yeah, and then listening to the good Metallica. And you're like,
I can actually tell you
that
what
piece
it
of
was
wall
listening
right
to
there really needs like finger drags down the side. I'm gonna go. Yeah. Okay.
Literally, and this is all done in face paint. Like, this is not fucking all paint. This is like expensive stage makeup that I'm just like.
Expensive stage makeup.
Yeah.
What
that
is expensive stage makeup?
I don't know, but like that fucking thing cost like 1,000 rand. I was
Have a
like,
look.
fucking annoyed. Oh, it's all like split up. Yeah, and it's
Oh, okay.
fucking dirty. You can look though.
Cool.
And it's like it's everywhere.
Do you do drama tech? Or what?
Oh no, I study writing.
Writing?
Yeah, but I'm in the drama department.
Okay.
I'm studying to be a playwright.
Hold on.
Because it's 1966. Apparently. Yeah.
This shit's difficult to come by, actually.
Yeah. I mean, what makes it a bit more expensive because it's all like fucking heavy duty, you know? Like, it's just like, it can't come off in like a 2-hour spread.
People would like to admit it, but this is the shit you need for drag.
That is true. On the current film, on the film I'm working on now, we, my characters in drag a lot. And there's a lot of like concurrent scenes that we film on different days.
Yeah.
Well, not like drag, just like
It's
the
like
paint.
pretty. Yeah. It's not like stage drag where you're like
Oh yeah.
beat to capacity, your face is snatched, everything's just like
Exactly.
exaggerated. This is kind of like, oh, I'm gonna be a pretty girl.
Exactly. It's like pretty girl, like
Yeah.
cool smoky eye. Very. I love the phrase smoky eye. For some reason, it's so.
But do you know how satisfying a smoky eye is? If you do it right.
I can't though. I cannot fucking draw, and I can't. I'm just like visually fucked. Like my hands don't listen
Yeah.
when I talk. So I always have friends do my makeup for me. Luckily, one of my really good friends is Vida Fantabisha, the drag queen. Like, really big in the city. She's like one of my really good friends.
She's big in the city.
Oh my god. I'm hearing my sentences.
No one really knows her here, but she's like really big in the city.
She totally is though.
That's how it works.
But like, yeah, she's the makeup artist, and they only use MAC on set.
Yeah?
Which is fucking spectacular. So I have like these full face MAC beats, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm feeling really gay.
Beats. I would like to have a full face Mac beat once in my life.
You're so right, this room is incredibly like spontaneous. I mean, the only thing that's like, this storyboard was up in my room at home, and I took it down to bring here. Because I'm just working on this year. Because I've been working on the show for like a year now.
Okay.
And the actors like...
Oh wait,
yeah.
Sorry, you said show, I thought the movie that you were shooting was like,
no,
that's
no.
long.
Yeah, that's only been a couple of months. But like, all of this is fucking like spontaneous. I was like, yeah.
But that's usually the best kind of moments when you like just kind of spontaneously react to something visually or creatively. It's like these like little... I'm not gonna say that.
Please, you have to.
I don't even know why I thought of that as an actual analogy. Okay, so
please, I need to
like
do this so bad now.
These little moments of like a really satisfying fart that just
Oh god, that's not what I was expecting. God.
That's why I said like it doesn't really work, but for some reason in my mind I was like, oh.
I thought you were gonna say like little cum shots, because that would have been cool.
That would have been good as well. See, I was heading that way, I just got stuck at fart. I do not associate cum with fart.
Okay, yeah, that would be very interesting. That's a different porno tab. The 10th most searched for porn item in this country.
This country?
Yeah.
Is?
Like farts. Like farting porn. It's our 10th one. Like Pornhub did this like list per country.
Do you know what it probably is? It's probably still on the internet for a while. There was this video called Cake Farts.
Oh my god, yes. You know what I like the most? Cake farts. I fucking love cake farts.
Oh, I can't believe I actually in one sitting I watched. First, I started with One Man, One Jar.
Oh god, that was
Then
fucking terrible.
2 Girls, 1 Cup, and then I finished it off with...
I used it as an actual diet. When I was like 15, 2 Girls, 1 Cup was just like, I'll watch it before break, and I won't have lunch.
Yo!
That actually it was.
That's intense. And then I finished it off with Cake Farts. And I just love how I kind of went from like the really bad one to like the funny.
Yeah, Cake
the one
Farts
that's
is
actually
like
funny.
fine. Like she could walk down the road and just have like a slight chuckle, like follow her. Whereas if you're in 2 Girls, 1 Cup, you're not gonna get.
Like 2 Girls, 1 Cup is
easily.
actually just gross. And
It's gross.
and it's a little bit upsetting. But then you watch something like One Man, One Jar, and you're like, how is he? Is he even alive?
Yo, what? That was like. That's just like 2 Girls, 1 Cup. Okay, you puked on her. Fine. Poop. Ugh.
Yeah.
You're fine. One guy, one jar was like, did the ambulance find him in time?
But
splintering.
the scary thing is he's chilled. He doesn't look stressed.
Oh,
He doesn't look worried. I mean, blood is dripping out of his ass. There's a puddle. And he's fingering bits of glass out of himself.
God. What if he got paid for... No, he didn't get paid for that. That was a home video.
That was maybe he was paid for it.
Well, I mean, if you're getting... I still wouldn't do that for money. But, I mean...
What if it's a thing that he was in trouble with, like, some other gangster or something?
And they forced him
And
to
they
do it.
forced him. But it doesn't
No, but they
explain
need to
why he
stress.
was so chill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this is totally normal. It happens every time. I'm just gonna sit here and
I didn't expect to have this conversation today. Like, the circumstances behind One Guy, One Jar. Oh, God, ew. No.
What can I say? I'm a cultured person.
I just find that, like, fetishes are interesting as fuck. I love what people are secretly into. A guy asked me to pee in his mouth last week. We were having sex and he was like, hey, you wanna pee in my mouth? And I was like...
How do you respond to that?
I was just like, okay, I was like, okay, cool. Because, I mean, I'm up for indulging whatever people are into.
Yeah.
But I did it because I didn't have peas. I was like, I would, but I can't. I'm sorry.
See, if it was me, I'll probably be like, okay. Because I find myself every now and again, I'm not surprised when people ask me, like, things such as that, for example, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really know how I feel about it, but if it makes you happy, I guess I could probably help facilitate the situation.
Exactly. I'm like...
But then I'd probably be there and being like, this is kind of weird. Fuck. I don't think I can muster a piss right now.
Muster a piss. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I didn't end up going through with it, but it was a pretty interesting experience because it was like the first time anyone had actually like externalized their fetish the first time we were having sex. So I was like, okay.
So, where'd you find this person?
Oh, he's a performance artist. Like, one of those, like, really intense, like,
Yeah.
I'm doing this performance piece. Like, one of those guys. I'd gone to one of his shows last Tuesday at Hobbs, and he'd done this thing where, like, he was dressed, and it was this whole, like, commentary on homelessness and whatever, and, like, he was standing in the middle of the room, like, all night, and people had to, like, go up and, like, cut his clothing off his body, and, like, paint him with, like, these buckets of paint that were there. And I met him there, and we, like, started talking, and then he got my number, and then we texted later, and then ended up going over to his place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a real life situation. It's not a virtual, then real life.
Oh, no, I met him, like, in an actual place full of actual people. Yeah. But it was interesting. I love what people are secretly into.
Yeah.
Everyone's dirty. Fucking everyone is dirty. In, like, the most interesting ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that, like, really recently, because I used to think that, like, well, like, my teenage mind used to internalize the world in this way where it was, like, only if you externally showed your weirdness or, like, presented yourself, like, to the voyeur, then you were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, some people just don't have that inclination but are fucking weird. And I fucking love that.
Most people are weird.
Yeah.
But I enjoy people that express that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not, like, keep it to themselves.
But, like, because there's a difference, like, that's a conversation to be had, the difference between, like, actually expressing yourself visually, or, like, externally, tangibly, because that's your inclination, and then, okay, hold on, no. The difference between not having the inclination to visually express and having the inclination but not fulfilling it because of social pressure. Like, that's a big difference. And it's like, people should feel free to just, like, go with it, you know?
Yeah.
The Wiccan creed. If you harm none, do what you will.
If you harm none, do what you will. Is that it?
That's the actual Wiccan creed, yeah. I wanted to be a high priestess all my fucking life. Not a priest, I wanted to be a fucking transgender high priestess of Wicca. But something like not like really Wicca. Wicca was just like Wicca's the gateway drug of witchcraft.
Okay.
Because Wicca is like nonsense. Wicca was started in the 80s. It's...
So what is Wicca standing to queer things?
Oh, Wicca's chill. If you harm none, do what you will. It's the most chill fucking vibe. There's also a Wiccan community.
That explains all the lesbians I knew in Ranish Girls High when they were my friends. I somehow drifted away from the boys of Chorus and became friends with all the lesbians in the girls' school, right?
I like that, actually.
And the majority of them were into Wicca.
Oh, that is so cool. Oh, Wiccan lesbians. True, I do know a couple of Wiccan lesbians. There's a...
Maybe it's a thing.
But Wicca's like a... not matriarchal, it's not the right word to use. But Wicca's like a... The feminine energies within its own mythology, like, have complete and utter, like, precedence over anything else. So, like, it's a very kind of vaginocentric religion. There is somewhere deep in the lexicon of English.
Is that a red word?
No, I just made that up.
Vaginocentric.
Vaginocentric, yeah.
Well, phallocentric is a...
There we go. But what's the nice word for...
But isn't phallus associated with, like, penis?
Yeah, I mean, a phallus is a penis.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be vaginocentric, it's going to be some Latin derivative of the Latin word for vagina, because that's how fucking terrible English is. But, oh, English is great. And pretentious.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's the language of the pedant, I find.
Of the?
The pedant.
What's the pedant?
A pedantic person. Like, just...
Ah.
Oh no, that word's a Greek root, not a Latin root, so it gets a different adverbial form. Like, great! Go fuck yourself, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing with English, I find it so interesting when, like, people of, like, different cultural heritage kind of interact, and then someone who speaks English really well, a lot of the times they'll kind of look down on people who can't speak English really well because of the language that they grew up with, and that's just that's their language, right?
Yeah.
As if English is this, like, high and mighty language.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
the motherfucking commoner's tongue.
English, though, that's a direct result of the colonial system.
Yeah, I mean,
Imperialism.
well, but also if so many people are able to speak it, it's not a very complicated language, is it?
No. It's pedantic. I wouldn't
Actually,
say
I'm not
complicated.
gonna talk about language and the politics of language because I don't know.
English does have a classism, like it's a very classist
Yeah.
language, I guess, because of, I mean, it's the language of the imperialists. We've been taught that the Western canon is the most important canon, and if you understand it and speak it and are accurate or apply yourself to its kind of jargonic system, that you are of more worth in your situation.
Okay.
Yeah. The canonization of the white man as what's his name? Franz Fanon.
Fanon, okay.
Richard the guy.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, great, something's coming through my window.
No, I'm looking at the sun and the lights and
Okay.
it's coming! Prepare yourself!
Very.
Hi.
Is there Queer House tonight?
No.
Oh.
No,
That makes me sad.
me too.
I had time.
I was planning on having another one this evening. So we had Monday, the RuPaul screening, and then we thought, we'll do one for Thursday evening as well, because we didn't have a screening last week.
Yeah.
But then I was too busy to organize something, and Peter probably too. And it's also my sister's last evening in South Africa. She's flying back to New Zealand tomorrow, so...
Oh, so she doesn't live here.
She's not from here, not even from here.
She doesn't even go here. How old is she?
39.
Oh, fuck, she's old.
Yeah, it was her birthday the other day.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm like a proper Lord Lamiki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, is she the
She's the
next
eldest.
Oh, okay.
No, my brother is 34, so he's 10 years older than I am. My sister is 30.
Oh, wow, so they're like all in their fucking
36, and then the eldest, my other sister,
she's
39.
Jeez, and you're 22 for... Wait, that's
I look like a 20-year-old?
Sorry.
Second to...
Which year are you in? Did you have a gap year? Did you do things?
No, I did BA Humanities. I did that thing.
Okay, you did the whole, like, BA Humanities thing. Which people, like, give shit... Like, people shit on that so much. And I know, like, I'm a BA student of defending my own people, but, like, come on. BA Humanities can be puss easy, if you want it to be easy, depending on your subject choices.
But
it can
also
be fucking insanely difficult.
It is.
If you're taking philosophy and linguistics.
Yeah.
And sociology and psychology.
I did it for a year. And I was like, I'm gonna do art. I want to be an artist. So I did my portfolio while I did humanities.
Okay.
Actually, I wanted to study art before I did humanities. I was just too lazy and overwhelmed during matric.
Okay.
I was just too lazy to not do my portfolio. So I did it while I was studying humanities. And I had even less time then because I was studying humanities and I was waitering.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I managed to get in, and then I've just been... Oh, and then I did design for like 2 years.
Okay.
And then after that I moved over to fine arts. So
that's cool.
I've effectively added 2 additional years to studying the degree that I initially wanted to, which was fine arts.
Oh my god. Well, that's kind of interesting, actually, because now you have like a varied background.
I do. I have a lot of skills that my peers don't, which is really nice.
Well, that's fucking cool.
That's cool. Everything has kind of really come together now really kind of comfortably in terms of what I was taught and not kind of enjoying those processes.
Okay.
But now they've kind of snuck their way into my process now.
Okay.
So I'm doing what I've always wanted to do, but the way that I've been taught, like in design or even in humanities, those ways of thinking and doing and making, they're very much a part of how I'm producing work now. Yes.
Okay, well that's
Yeah.
super interesting.
That's good. It's
Well,
like...
it gives you more, like you said, a more like varied skill set.
Yeah.
That's why I find like I used to be on the side of like the extreme left when it came to literature, because I used to think that like, oh, we've canonized the white man in our literature. I was like the like post-colonial wet dream, like the anti-post-colonial wet dream. Like at the end of high school, like I was a complete grunge punk.
Yeah.
I was this weird like. That was amazing. I love that.
I am here for your entertainment. I might just stay on the floor since apparently I can't squat against the wall.
I have no idea what you were trying to do. I know you were sitting on the makeup cabinet.
No,
Okay.
I was like leaning against the wall and I underestimated the slipperiness of your floor.
I'm so sorry. I had to have it re-waxed.
Also, these soles have no grip.
Okay. So it was like
It was a combination of... Actually, I like your pants.
it was a collaborative process.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what you have to say at the end of every show. Well, it's really an ensemble piece. I'm in other situations right now, actually, and I'm like, fuck all y'all.
Yeah. It's just... Sometimes it becomes... Ooh, yes.
I don't even remember what we were talking about, to be
You're
honest.
laughing at me falling on my ass.
Yeah. Oh, I was talking about myself and the complete, like, anti-establishment, like, attitude I had. Because I was obsessed with, like, Sid Vicious, Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols. I love the Sex Pistols, still. But, like, and Dead Kennedys. Fucking love Dead Kennedys so much. They're this band from the 80s in the US. That's their on the wall. Actually, oh, it's a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Wait, I saw that earlier. I don't know why I didn't expect it to come on.
These are really slow though. It's what do you want?
Oh, and I really fucking want one.
So they don't make Polaroid. The company doesn't really exist anymore, so they don't
No.
make film. But there's another company that was started by this group of people who bought over the infrastructure for Polaroid,
Okay.
but they couldn't get Polaroid's patents.
Okay.
That's been like locked away. No one has access to it. So they had to completely redesign the film and everything because they love the camera so much and they wanted to kind of provide a way for it to not like die out or whatever.
Yeah.
So they've developed this film and it's gotten to the point where now it's like really good, but it's really slow. It takes like half an hour for the thing to develop before
Jesus.
the picture shows up. But hopefully.
Oh, that's fucking interesting. I love that I've been preserved in Polaroid.
Preserved in Polaroid.
I feel
It's
like
really
in the
good.
80s.
It's really special. I find it really special. There's something about that kind of instantaneous. And I know like digital world and the cell phones and the instant photos, whatever. But there's something like inherently special about like a
Right,
Polaroid.
that's something taking time.
Like about something that's instant, but it takes it's instantaneousity.
Oh, I don't even know what the word is. Yeah, fuck.
It's not a word.
An instantaneousness.
The ness of its instant.
Goodness of its instant. I quite
It
like
takes
that.
a while,
Well, I like that.
and
The
it's
effort and preservation.
also just really fucking beautiful. And the camera's cool, and I want to shoot with it. So
Okay.
where am I?
That is a really cool camera. I've actually killed to own one.
They're cool.
'Cause
They're
they're
like, really
cool.
cool. It's just the film is like ridiculously expensive, and you only get like eight shots per pack.
Fuck, and how much is a pack?
It's either 300 or 350.
Jesus, for 8 photos. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah, like I've used it once before, like last year. So I got money doing some kind of like odd freelancing job or whatever. And so yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna buy a film for this camera so I can finally use it. And I bought like 2 packs, and it was just like, oh, this is amazing, I need to do it again. And then I realized it's so expensive.
Yeah, I can
But then
imagine.
a month or so ago, my boyfriend was in Germany, and he
Yeah.
brought some film back for me to shoot. And I was like, you know what, just pick up like 2 packs of that as well, so
Okay.
that I have.
Yeah.
It's a little cheaper on that side.
Okay.
A little.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like anything that's interesting. So.
Ooh. How interesting of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were talking about Ginsberg earlier.
Oh yeah.
And then we were talking, that was the point, because when I know, like, I do this thing, like, during conversations, I'm like, I know there's a point left somewhere, like, back there that I was going to make. But, like, on the subject of Lucian Carr, the guy that Dane DeHaan played in Kitty Rawlings, he was, like, I find him as a character interesting. He's very hittable. Like, as a person, he was a twat. He was the last one of them to die, actually. Died in 2005.
Yeah. Love that group.
Yeah. Ginsey died. Ginsey.
Oh, it was Ginsberg. Sorry. Yeah, it was Ginsberg and Burroughs. Sorry, I have a story to tell you.
Please tell me about Ginsberg and Burroughs. I fucking love him.
Okay.
Go.
So I was on Facebook the other day, as one does, and I saw this article posted. What was it, New Now Next or something?
Oh, we're talking about that guy who was like fucking both of them.
Yeah.
A teenager.
How cool was
read
that?
about that? Like when it came
How cool
out.
was that story?
I know. I was like, you
And the
have such a
photographs.
fucking place in like history. Right?
And the
Like, it's
photographs
so
that
amazing.
Ginsberg took of that
Of him.
boy.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
I was just like so happy that happened. I was like, Ginsberg was still fucking twinks when he was 80. Cause Ginsberg was obsessed with like young boys, like
Yeah, and like
of age, but
not of age. Not of age. That boy was not of age.
that boy was not of age.
That was not a twink. That was a teenager.
Like Ginsby,
Yeah.
because he's
Oh, you know him?
yeah, I love Ginsby. No, yeah, he was like Ginsberg wants to abolish consent laws. Like he was like signing petitions and
I
stuff.
know.
Like he fucking like loved young.
But him and Burroughs.
And Burroughs was a bit more dirty than Ginsberg, apparently. But like, I love
fucking
him.
high the whole time. Unreal.
Yeah, but God. Have you seen the film of On the Road?
No.
It's bad, but you should watch it
Gotta
anyway.
I'd rather read On the Road.
Yeah, On the Road's God.
The only
Because
Burroughs
it's
I've read
exhausting.
is Junkie.
Okay,
I enjoy
haven't read all of
Junkie.
those yet. I haven't read that yet.
It's really cool.
It's cool. I'll read it. I'll put it on my list. You should read On the Road, though. On the Road is an exhausting novel. It is, but it's one of my favorite novels. I have a tattoo from it right here. But like,
Does it say On the Road or does it say?
it just says burn, burn, burn. It's
Burn,
part
burn,
of like,
burn.
this really big quote about like, kind of like philosophy that I'd established outside of it, and then I read it, and it was so like the way I choose the people I'm around that I like just get tattooed. But like, on the subject of On the Road, it's the only novel that I've read that's like it. And my other favorite novel, The Catcher in the Rye by Allen Ginsberg, by J.D. Salinger, is interesting because it inverts what On the Road does completely, and therefore it's on the other side of the spectrum in terms of what I love about On the Road. But it is it's my favorite novel because like how time is treated in literature is very interesting to me, like how the passage of consciousness is plotted with words. So in On the Road, I find it exhausting because it's just running the whole time. Like it's just this fucking machine that never switches off. Like it beats you with information, and it's fucking tiring to read. Like you feel like you sprinted through a chapter.
I've actually not read anything like book-wise, novel, literature in such a long time. The last thing I read was... Actually, I read a lot in the beginning of the year. I like made a point of reading.
Okay, that's cool.
And I felt so happy with myself because I read like 3 books in a month and I was like, I've never done this. It's like more than I've read in a year sometimes. It's amazing.
Which 3 books are there?
Karolis Chukuru Sasaki, which is a novel by Haruki Murakami.
Japanese people.
Favorite author. Just
Oh look, him, her, they, up.
him. Most probably a misogynist.
Well, that's fun. That's fun for gay people.
Most probably, I don't know. No, but also, no, not really. He's queer. There are actually queer characters within his novels, and they're endearing, and they're not like these kind of objectified
Okay.
novelties or whatever.
Okay.
They're quite
Fetishized by the heteronormative
also not
gaze.
fetishized. They're very just kind of mundane almost.
Oh, well,
Which
that's-
I was like, did not expect this. Cool.
Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Anyways, Haruki Murakami, and then I read a book by Patti Smith,
Which one? I didn't know she'd written a fucking book. Was it just like an autobiography?
No, well, actually, kind of. It's Just Kids. That's what's the title's called, Just Kids, and it's about her history with Robert Mapplethorpe, because they met each other in New York,
Okay.
and they're kind of because they were lovers, and then obviously Robert Mapplethorpe was just this like
I don't know much about his life.
really interesting, really interesting.
Well, he took the photo of the cover of Horses,
Yeah.
which is a fucking great album, which inspired my favorite musician, Katie Tunstall, to be an artist.
So yeah, I mean, it's such a good novel.
Okay,
It's
cool.
really good. It's like it's really interesting having that like kind of personal insight into just her experience with him and kind of his development as an artist, but also his development sexually.
Okay.
And yeah, it's so good. And the other one I read was by some French author. He's a photographer, and it was just like it's like just like a kind of book on kind of like short essays, like short poetic essays on things related to photography.
Okay, well, that's
So like,
interesting.
Ghost Image. That's what the book is called.
Okay, it's a cool title,
It's
actually.
really one of the chapters is called Ghost Image, and it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. And he was talking like the whole chapter is about when he was young. He really wanted to photograph his mother, and his mother was beautiful, but he didn't want to photograph her when his dad was around, because then his mother would be made up in a way that would kind of please his father. So then
Okay.
one day when his father was away, because he got a gift from his dad soon, like before he went to take this portrait of his mom. So then his dad was away, and then they kind of stripped everything. He had his mom just kind of dressed in this like white linen, and like her hair was just kind of natural and down and just like flowy, and I think really simple makeup. And he put like a white powder on his skin to make her look really fair.
Okay.
And he had her in her living room, and I think there was something about like the wind blowing in through the window. It's like, I'm not doing a good job of describing this. And him just like photographing and like living in that moment and like shooting a whole roll of film, taking his mother's portrait.
That's fucking interesting.
And then at the end of it all, just before his dad came back, broke everything down. His mom got ready again to these presentable for her husband again. And then the evening, the boy and the dad developed the film, and the film was blank. And he just put the film in, he never really put it in place. So he
okay.
took all those photographs, but they were never really captured on film, and that's this
Okay.
idea of the ghost image, the
Oh, okay, I
elusive
see.
photograph. Because the photograph was made, but it was never captured.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was.
I quite like that. That's
I mean, as a photographer,
Very
you're kind of just
literary.
like, yes, it's happened so many times.
in a very like
I feel this.
real world way.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. It's very literary.
Yeah. I do.
Children are so interesting as
Yeah.
characters.
I've completely forgotten like this like interview conversation thing, because normally at the beginning I'd ask this question of like, how do you identify, and then it's like
Oh
this
my god, yeah,
interesting
this is supposed to be
discussion.
like queer situations.
But it's not
completely
like
forgot.
it's not about like the work isn't about like what does it mean to be queer? Explain your queerness. How are
Yeah,
you
tell
queer
me
in
why
relation
you're
to
a faggot,
Stanimish or
fuck.
whatever? It's not that. It's about the human aspect of you and me talking with you and interacting
Okay.
and whatever.
Completely forgot that this was a stage.
So like I mean I'm working with people who are queer or whatever, but it's looking at the everyday and the human experience of
Okay.
whatever.
well, for
Yeah.
what it's worth, I forgot that this was kind of staged.
It's not that it's no, yes, no. But maybe just 'cause, I mean a lot of the way that you identify and I identify is already in the conversation that we've been having.
True. Well,
Subtly or kind of, whatever.
things always weave themselves in.
But I don't know, maybe just kind of try and express in a way, can be as vague or as specific or whatever as
Yeah.
kind of describing your identity. But we've been describing it the whole time, really.
I
don't know, like interpret it as you wish.
Okay, describe my identity. Okay, I have a lot of things to say, I guess. My queerness. I do quite like the word queer. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like calling myself gay or like
Mhm.
homosexual, because then that pigeonholes my gender.
Yeah.
And I don't like having a gender because like I grew up obviously thinking, okay, I have a dick, therefore I'm male. And never really like internalizing I've never been a very heteronormative person. Like I've never really internalized the gender norms. Like from very early on. I mean I remember like I guess I'm lucky in that way, but it never just computed. Like it never heteronormativity is never computed with me.
Mm-hmm.
Never understood it, ever. I've never strived to be in any kind of conventional way expressing the heteronormative values of Western society. So, I guess it makes sense that now, this year is the first time I'm actually expressing myself and like kind of stating that yes, I'm not gender fluid.
My phone's also about to die. Okay, sorry for that.
No, it's so short. No, like, so I'm going by, I'm still letting people use he. I don't really mind being called he, but like, they is the most appropriate for where my brain is at now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I call myself queer. I'm like androsexual if we want to be like hideously like vernacularic about everything. But like, yeah, so I'm a queer person. But again, it's like, I see who I take to bed, Stephen Fry would say, as like...
Who I lay with.
Exactly, like, God, I love when Stephen Fry talks about sex, because he justifies it so intensely. Just because of the way he's like, oh God, I love him so much, he's like, the British man. God.
Did you... What's his book? Moab is my watchbot.
I haven't read any of his literature yet.
I haven't read it, but I have the audiobook.
Okay.
It is
and he reads it.
delicious. So he talks about how he lost his virginity for the first time as one of the chapters.
Oh, that's nice. I don't know how that happened.
It's basically, or Moab is my watchbot is a novel of his kind of preteen and teenager and young adult life. So good.
Oh, I should go read it.
Put it on your list. And
I'll put it on my list. I'm terrible for writing students. I read very fucking little. I don't read a lot of long form anymore. I was obsessed with long form growing up, like novels.
Yeah.
And nowadays I'm reading essays, I'm reading not even short stories, I'm reading a lot of non-fiction. Just because it's 2016, you know, like I'm not gonna lie about having been born in 95.
No.
I'm not gonna lie about my attention span.
I get, whenever I hear people like born after 92, like 93, I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's like a year. But whenever it's like 94, 95, 96, I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh my god. No, I find that like the 10-year gap is where things start change.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Most of my friends are older than I am now.
It's interesting. So I associate myself with being queer. So I'm comfortable calling myself gay, and I'm comfortable calling myself a man because I associate... no, not associate. So I don't associate having a penis with being a man.
Okay.
Or any genital to any kind of gender identity. Genitals are like whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable associating my genitals with a masculine gender identity, which in the most simplest sense is man, right?
Yeah.
But I am not limited to that. Like, I consider myself... I am gay, but I consider myself more queer than gay because of my interest in kind of playing with my identity and, like, doing drag and kind of doing stuff like that. So
okay, cool.
I don't even know why I told you about that. I mean, it's kind of obvious. And I'm sorry about this.
No,
but yeah,
it's interesting.
Actually, the point I'm trying to make is... I find it refreshing when people are kind of like... Well, I'm not really transgender or whatever, I'm queer or whatever. I think queer just kind of captures it in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what? Okay, I'm not anything specific, and I'm comfortable with that. And I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, but you know what? Get fucked.
Exactly. I love the idea of being off kilter. I love that I'm just like slightly left of something, not even sure what. So it's like, it's interesting. Yeah, but again, my queerness is such a fucking small part of like my consciousness. And
exactly.
Like it's like, yeah, it's just like something that I think about all day.
It's like starting to develop.
Oh, that's super. Oh, that's so cool, actually. I love that. That is so cool.
I'll send you a snap of it once it's fully processed.
Yeah.
You might be a little blurry, but I don't care. They tend to still be really beautiful regardless. Yeah. I really like chatting with you.
Thank you. I have a lot of things to talk about all the time. I'm very fucking precocious. I haven't stopped. I have ADD, and it was never treated.
But you know what?
And I'm just constantly fucking
I think your ADD, regardless of whether ADD is actually real or not or whatever.
Yeah, that fucking debates. My parents do not believe that it is.
It's actually kind of good for me in the way that I think and interact.
Again.
Because, like, let's just use this conversation as example. Like, we've been jumping from, like, topic to topic to topic to topic, but everything is kind of explored, and then it's like, let's leave that there. We'll probably return to it later, or maybe not, but who cares?
If you don't come back to it, it's not important enough.
Yeah.
It's like the entire philosophy workshop theater. Which is cool, actually.
Yeah.
God. I was gonna say something about punk rock. It always comes back to fucking punk rock.
We gotta say something about Ginsberg and punk rock and, like...
I don't know. I guess my identity is somewhere in between all of my fucking influences. I'm like... a complete fucking proof of postmodernism. Like, just completely. Which is why I love postmodernism so fucking much. Because, like, I mean, all the information on this wall. Okay, bar. Okay, the storyboard in a very different sense, which is just the sense that anyone can make anything up. But, like, all the information on this wall is reappropriated from other bits of information. Like, that's the Dead Kennedys, the band from the 80s. That's from Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
What's from Hedwig and the Angry Inch? The fish.
The Gnosis thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Tommy Gnosis, it's his logo. It's the guy that Hedwig's in love with, the logo of his band. And then, like, yeah, everything's just so reappropriated, so, like, I just find...
That's it, I mean, like, we're all kind of heavily influenced by visual culture, whether we like to admit it or not.
Yeah.
And basically we're all just kind of stealing all the time. We just need to be clever about how we steal.
Exactly, yeah. People are like these little points, like, they're the points at which thousands of bits of information intersect. It's about finding where people are at, you know?
What is this?
I have no idea where that's coming from, but they have concerts somewhere in this general fucking area, okay? So, like, sometimes a concert will be happening. I have no idea where these are happening. I mean, you grew up here, so maybe your topography is a bit more like...
But, so I hear the same kind of things at my house, because I don't live far from here, I just kind of like live down the road.
Okay.
So where I kind of bumped into you and Daniel the other day,
right, yeah.
I live in the next street.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting fucking person. That's a conversation that's
Daniel.
Yeah, he's so interesting. He activates me in a very specific way. It is so scary. But because of it, I spend a lot of time around him.
I haven't seen him in a while, but I guess it's because of all the engineering.
Yeah, he's fucking busy. I'm seeing him tomorrow.
Yeah. He was supposed to, like, bake at the beginning of August.
Oh, yeah.
He was gonna like come over
that.
and we're gonna, like, bake.
Yeah.
And I was really keen for it, but then he never contacted me again. I was like, you know what? I'm actually really busy as well, so I'm just quiet.
Dan's cool, but, like, you need to, like, texting first. You need to text first, pretty much.
Yeah.
For the most part, yeah. Yeah. He's
kind of miss him now.
Yeah, he's very interesting to be around.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks ago, I was fucking, like, weeping on his bed.
Oh.
No, and I don't fucking do that. Like, I don't cry. I'm a grunger. Like, what the fuck? I was, like, sitting in a fucking onesie and crying. And that's why I love being around him, because, like, I just love people who get things out of me that only they can do. He's just, like, one of the most interesting people I've met in a very long time.
He surprised me when I first met him, so I guess first met him on Grindr, but then...
Oh, you met on Grindr, I love that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, whatever. So you can't really gauge a person when you're, like, messaging them on any kind of social media platform.
They have time to curate their consciousness.
Exactly. But... but then also,
yeah.
you don't know the mannerisms or the way that they kind of speak when they're around you. So the first time I met him, I was kind of like surprised. I was like, oh, okay. So
Right.
way more confident than I thought you were.
Okay.
Yeah, and just the way he kind of, I guess, talks. It kind of bounces off what you say.
Yeah. I never had a conversation with him. Like, the conversation never dies.
Yeah.
Which, well, at least from my side, I mean.
But I feel like a conversation can never die with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's just interesting the whole time, and it's upbeat, and...
Great. That's what I strive for.
Yeah.
Right, I had to write that down.
Congratulations,
literally-
you're a great talker.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm totally this person. I will fucking pull out like shit like while I'm talking.
Oh, that's great.
Can I just show you this? This is fucking beautiful. Like, I took shrooms and I was like, I'm a writer. I need to like write down while on shrooms because I do shrooms a lot, but I never write while on shrooms. And then I fucking tried this the other day, and what the fuck is this?
So, do you...
Just like,
But this doesn't make sense. Like,
that's just what my brain does.
are you really that out of it when you're on shrooms and you're writing, or...
Oh. I've never actually like written anything while. I wrote one line while intoxicated once that was funny. Something about twisted fugitives in a Bruce Willis form in this thing that I'm busy with. But like, yeah, this is I can't like. I'll be very like. I get a lot of information from trips, and I'll definitely use that. Or like, it won't be like I won't get like storylines, but I'll understand why I find certain things stimulating, or like certain people, and then that consciousness will translate into my work. So it'll be like, I was always like, why am I obsessed with young adult literature? Like, not like the shitty young adult literature, but I'm like Stephen Chbosky who wrote the books being Wallflower. I'm like, why, like that kind of thing.
What Wallflower?
The books of being Wallflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, the novel's quite good and it's tiny.
I had such a like obsession with that movie.
Oh, thank you.
Mostly because of Ezra Miller.
Okay, I went through an Ezra Miller thing. I was convinced that I was going to be married to him because I saw photos of him online that were
Yeah.
like...
Did you watch We Need to Talk About Kevin, right?
Yes, I did. Stanford Prison Experiment.
That's like a wet dream. I was just
Oh, he does look particularly twinky. All those t-shirts that kind of like don't make it down to the waist.
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
find
he,
him
like,
like
oh,
interesting looking.
I would love to have like kind of this situation with Ezra Miller, just sitting and talking and looking at him and photographing,
like, absorbing his like his expression.
It's like, no, I don't want to have sex with the guy. I just want to, I want to like experience him.
I get where you're coming from. I have that with certain people I admire. Like Bowie was one of them. He's now dead. But like, could you imagine being in the same room as David fucking Bowie?
Yeah, but in this situation, like, this really excites me. I don't know, it's like so kind of normal and average and whatever. I'm not saying that like you're normal and average.
No.
But like the situation of like two people in a room talking, right?
Okay. But
it's so fucking special, and I feel like people don't. I feel like other people don't appreciate it. It's like so important. How don't you realize? Just two people talking. Come on, it's amazing.
There's a Kate Phillips line from one of his poems, from like one of his lesser known poems called "The World." It's like, mankind is mad, for none can live alone because their joys live by comparison. And it's like you need people in your space to let you.
But I mean, like you say, just David Bowie. Imagine what that would be like.
Exactly. Joni Mitchell is another one. She's this, like, she's one of those. I fucking love her so much. She's my favorite living artist.
Yeah.
And like she paints and she's a musician primarily. Though she calls herself a painter primarily, but she's released like 20 albums, and she's spectacular. Like this folk singer from the 60s and 70s. Heyday, 68 to 75. Obsessed.
Clearly.
Like she's another one. I just want to like sit and fucking be in the same space as her. And she's 72 this year. And she's had like fucking 2 strokes and an aneurysm, and she's had polio twice. The woman is hanging on like a fucking stubborn mongrel. Like the universe has declared that she must die, and she's refused. But fuck, I want to be in the same space as her, just like to like absorb her fucking energy. Oh, literally, like I'm a vampire when it comes to interesting people. Oh, I love that. I love some preservative fucking Polaroid. Another Polaroid photo does exist of me, but it was taken by a friend of mine, and we just like selfied it out.
Selfied it out.
Yeah. But yeah, oh god, yeah. So many tangents. So many tangents in my head right now.
I don't know if you realize, but I've stopped photographing.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't realise.
I told you, that thing is sneaky. You kind of forget about it.
That's hilarious. It's like...
I mean, it's so present, but then it just kind of becomes not present.
That's weird, but I guess that...
Is that what omnipresent means? Not present? What's omnipresent? It's all present.
Yeah, like Jesus.
The omnipresent camera.
Which I prefer to the omnipresent Jesus because there's something way pervy about Christianity. Like, Christianity is like, how you be... Oh, no, I can't. I went to convent till I was like 13.
Yeah.
And like, fuck my life. Like, the degree of like... I didn't like realize the paranoia that went with it until I left.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my god, this is how the universe feels. It doesn't feel like Jesus is fucking watching me from every angle all the time. Like the lack of peace.
Oh, I'm so glad I never got stuck in that trap.
Oh, okay, good.
I mean, especially like, just, as like a young queer person,